Said passion is the solution to fear and nervousness on stage, right? You're passionate about something. So that's what getting me through this. Why am I so nervous? I used to be a public speaker before this. I used to be a seminar guy, actually, selling legitimate merchandise, by the way. And now I got my entrepreneurial dream has come true. I'm a successful CEO of a company that just mind-staggering number to me, $81 million traded. Canadian dollars. Thank you. I am 40,000 customers. I'm fighting to keep banking in Canada. So I'm excited, and my dichotomy as an entrepreneur in the Bitcoin space, and as the poster boy with the guy with a huge Bitcoin beside him all over across the internet and on the cover of Alberta Venture magazine, my big dichotomy is this excitement of being an entrepreneur of a successful company and investors wanting to invest and everyone excited about what Vertex is doing. And then on the other hand, the scary Bitcoin space. Bitcoin's pretty scary, right? Everyone thinks I have access to Bitcoins. I don't. They're all in cold storage, multiple layers. Leave me alone, please. It's dangerous to be a Bitcoin entrepreneur. That's one of the things. But let me start off by telling you my favorite thing about Bitcoin. I want to tell you guys my favorite property of the Bitcoin, what got me excited about it, and what actually just reason for me to start this. After researching it all week, complex subject, that's when education is the big hurdle, right? The one thing I like the best is zero chargebacks. I love that. For the first time in history, the merchant is protected. I love that. When I spoke at the Academy of the Impossible in Toronto in October there, or whenever it was last year, a reporter stood up and said, "But what about consumer protection? Where is my protection as a consumer? How do I commit chargeback fraud against you?" is what he's really asking, right? And I said, for the first time in history, it's been switched. Finally, the merchant gets protected. And then he said, well, what if the merchant commits fraud, right? What if you send me Bitcoins for my water filters and I don't send you a water filter in the mail? You're going to give me a bad review, right? No one's going to buy water filters from me anymore if you guys are giving me, the merchant, the bad review. But look at current state. Consumers commit fraud under your identity, then your identity, then your identity, then your identity. And then what's the recourse for me as a merchant? Nothing. My telecom company, before I started Vertex, at its height did $1 million gross sales in 2008. I thought I made it big then, at $1 million. $200,000 of black gross revenue was chargeback fraud, credit card chargeback fraud. So of course, this just really hits home to me that if I would have got all those guys to pay in Bitcoin, I wouldn't have this problem. I wouldn't have a $200,000 expense. I wouldn't have had to hire a collection agency and lawyers and hope that I got this money back and waste my time collecting from fraudsters. So that's what I like most about Bitcoin. Zero chargebacks. So I was at the Senate in Ottawa on Wednesday. This is just past Wednesday. By a show of hands, did anyone see or hear of the Canadian Senate hearings or see me speak? Just curious. Over about half the audience. Good. So it went well. I think it went great. The Senate's behind us. They're behind the Bitcoin movement. I think some light bulbs started to go off in their heads. I wish I would have focused more on the zero chargebacks because they asked the banks the next day about fees. And they really shouldn't have focused on fees. They shouldn't have dived down that whole road about fees. They should have just really approached that history-changing moment, like, why? Now that the merchant's protected, I want to ask this question to the banks. Hey bankers, I know you do consumer protection, that's great. But talk to me about your merchant protection program, please. No answer, right? So, yeah, I did the Senate, was very excited about that. Did that in Ottawa with Larry O'Brien. Teaming up with Larry O'Brien was great. Larry O'Brien is a former mayor of Ottawa and ex-CEO of Calian Technologies, which did $226 million last year. This guy is a business titan, a political mogul, and he's helping us in Canada. He's helping us. And he loves Bitcoin. He loves Vertex. He's our government advisor. And he's a business mentor to me, as well as a political connection guy that's bringing together the government. On top of speaking at the Senate last week, I also spoke with the Minister of Finance, the Department of Finance's department. I'll correct myself, I didn't speak directly to the minister. I spoke to the Department of Finance people. So I'm in communication with regulators. My big goal here in Canada is to keep banking in Canada. You won't believe how many calls I get every week from people saying, even here people come up to me and say, why don't you go international? Why don't you turn on the USA? Why don't you go to Europe? Why don't you turn on Australia? Why don't you just use your platform and go elsewhere? My response? We're so early in the business that anything that happens wrong in other jurisdictions will threaten the core business here we have in Canada under the same corporate name. So why rock the boat? Why mess around? The Canadian market is so big and so amazing that I want to stay in Canada. And I want everyone here to know that if you have a Vertex account with Canada, you are with a Schedule I Canadian bank in Canada that I have a direct relationship with, that knows exactly the truth of what's going on. We're still a little bit too early for them to start giving you guys personal accounts, but that might be coming soon. But at least we can operate legitimately in Canada. So that's the war I'm fighting, is to keep us in Canada. So thank you. So I'll be making this speech tomorrow, but for those that will miss me, I want to tell you one quick cool thing we have right now. At the booth, at our exhibit, we're giving away debit cards. This is meant for all the people like you, Anthony, who can't get a bank account. With our debit cards and our special relationship, you don't need a bank account. You can take Bitcoin and put it onto a debit card and use it at 58,000 ATMs across Canada, the regular ATMs here in the hallway, and at 750,000 point-of-sale terminals. So every time reporters come to me and people come to me and say, well, who accepts Bitcoin? What merchants accept Bitcoin? And the answer, the real answer, by the way, on our merchant directory on Vertex is 22. If you pull a number from some database somewhere and group up all the merchants in Canada that accept Bitcoin, you might get maybe, what, 2,000 in Canada? My answer is, everyone accepts Bitcoin without even knowing it. You're missing the point about Bitcoin. We, the exchange, bridge it to a debit card, and now you can use your debit card without the merchant even knowing it, that they've just accepted Bitcoin through the Canadian dollar gateway that Vertex provides. So that's the kind of stuff we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to solve real-world problems. So yeah, aside from that, I'm happy to be a sponsor, I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited about Bitcoin. It's amazing to be among fellow pioneers and fellow entrepreneurs that all get it. We all get it. We all know where this is going. And last thing I want to leave you with is a quick analogy that I'm sure you all know. I feel like I'm in 1996 when I first started my telecom company and I registered a domain name online. Back then the internet was like totally brand new. Okay? It cost me $150 a year to register my domain name. No one was using the internet. I remember thinking when I was watching TV commercials like Sears Canada, how come they don't have a website? Why aren't people putting their websites on commercials? I just didn't get it. Back then, though, I didn't invest in the dot-com bubble. I didn't profit from the internet bubble, but I knew it was big. Well, let's use that same analogy today. All of us sitting here today know Bitcoin's going to be big. I have a list of 36 things on my paper of revenue opportunities that I can't even pursue because I don't have the time, because my 26-person team is so busy trying to keep an operation. There's so much opportunity in the Bitcoin space. If you want to make money and spread Bitcoin, do something now in Bitcoin. Get on something now. You know, just do anything in Bitcoin. So we're all going to benefit. So great. So in closing, I want to share, hope I'm not going over time. Am I okay for 3 more minutes? Okay. I want to tell you guys my best idea that I've racked my brain for a year. How do you spread Bitcoin the fastest? What's the best way, or the number one way that I want to focus on to really get Bitcoin out there? And the answer I've come up with is merchant adoption. My cousin, my friend, my grandmother's friend that does regular shopping online on Canadian merchants right now, I want her to see on her checkout page $500 for the clothes she's buying. And I wish I could even say a store, but think of a major clothes retailer in Canada. It costs you $500. MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, there it is, $500. Bitcoin, $450. Now the first question I want this average consumer to ask is, why is it cheaper in Bitcoin? We're talking $450 CAD equivalent here. Second question they're going to ask is, what the heck is a Bitcoin? And if they're a frugal person that wants to take the time and energy to investigate this, they're going to find out how to buy Bitcoin. They want to buy Bitcoin because they want to save $50, right? And now all of a sudden, everyone that didn't know about Bitcoin, that uses regular commerce channels today, knows about Bitcoin. So that's my idea, merchant adoption. So we have a sales force doing that right now. 9 to 5, all day long, dialing out, emailing out, phoning every single online merchant in Canada and saying, just add Bitcoin to your checkout options, please. Please, just add it. How about zero chargebacks for a convincer? How about lower fees? You know the benefits. I'm not going to go through it all, right? So that's my dream, is to get the merchants that get charged these hefty, hefty fees by banks to adopt Bitcoin, thereby forcing banks to take a second look at this little phenomenon here we call a Bitcoin movement, right? So there you go. Thanks, guys. I think that's it. Thank you. Me get moved. One more tiny plug here. We are giving away free debit cards at our booth. Absolutely free. I'm paying for them. I'm absorbing the costs because I want to convince my bank that there are people that want this service. So please just take one. Thanks.